everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So we've officially reached the final week of the Battle of the Readathon, which is going to go through the end of September. So this will be my vlog to wrap up the month, and I am quite excited. I've had two really good reading weeks back to back after starting the month off very slow, so I'm hoping I can keep that mojo rolling. I'm doing pretty well, I think, with my Readathon TBRs and my Phase 10 TBR, but my main focus is going to be on those books and trying to cram in as many of those as I can, because it would be really cool if I could complete all 4 of the TBRs I had. And then on top of that, doing the handful of prompts I need to do for Battle of the Readathon, because I'm trying to overlap. So the 3 prompts that you can only do once, and I've purposely saved them for the last week with the hopes that, like, those extra 30 bonus points may help, are to read a book with a red cover, which if I have time, where is it? I'm going to read The Wizards of Once Knock 3 times, because it's literally one of the few books I have that has a red cover. It's not on my TBR officially, but we're going to try if I can get time. My book for read a book with a movement in the title, so you need like a verb in the title, is Going Wild, because going is a movement verb. You're going somewhere. And I'm quite excited to check this out. This is the first book in a series, and I don't know that I'm going to love it because I haven't loved the other book I read by Lisa McMahon, but I'm at least willing to try. And then I need to read a book in a series. It can't be the start of a series. It has to be a series I've already started. And that means that my options are Dead or Alive, or Until the End of Time by Skullduggery. I did it again. By Skullduggery Pleasant. I do this all the time. By Derek Landy, which are the 14th and 15th books in the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I have The Dangerous Gift and The Flames of Hope, which are books 14 and 15 in the Wings of Fire series. I have The Autumn Republic, which is the 3rd book in the Powder Mage trilogy. And I have Traps and Specters and... what's it called? Raids and Rescues. That are the 4th and 5th books in the Secret Zoo. So many series. So I literally could read any of those and would be going, check. So I've got options for The Song Rising. I'm partway through this. This is definitely on my TBR because it's on that TBR. So this is a priority. And this would count for a book in a series that I've already started. So I have so many options. So I'm thinking I'll be good on that one, which is part of why I pushed that one off. And then I purposely didn't touch Going Wild. And I decided that if I was going to get a red cover, it would be at the end of the readathon if I could find time to squeeze it in. So that's kind of my plan. And then squeezing in anything else that I can possibly try to squeeze into this week. I have so many books in my room that I'm excited to get to. And like I said, I've got my reading mojo right now. If I can roll with that, then I will get so many books accomplished, and I'm hoping I can. My focus for this weekend specifically is going to be editing and reading, so we'll see if I can manage that. And then next week I have to film and edit and stuff like that, because I have to film my TBR game. And I'd like to have a better idea of where I'm at, because I know I have to swap out my reward from last month for a punishment, because I did not finish my TBR, even though I felt like I was going to. And then I have to film my Bookopoly TBR because Becca is doing it in October instead of September, because she was on a vacation in September. So she wanted to be able to dedicate time to it. So she was going to be home in October and shifted it a month. And it also meant it didn't conflict with Battle of the Readathon. So I also have to do this while planning my, special surprise thing that I'm kind of working on and hoping to get out before the end of the year. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I'm feeling kind of confident about it right now, but it's going to depend on whether I can catch up, because I think it will really help if I'm caught up on vlogs. So I also need to edit so that I can catch up. But that is neither here nor there. I need to focus on reading, and then I know next weekend is going to be rough. Because on the 29th, we get the first NSYNC song since I was a teenager. Like, So I get the feeling that that is going to cut in massively to my reading time because I'm just going to be listening to this song over and 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 over. So yeah. I don't know how that's going to affect my reading at the end of the week, but I can't imagine it's going to help because I definitely cannot read a book and listen to NSYNC at the same time. It's not going to be a thing that happens. So we're going to try to cram in as much reading this weekend as we can. Fingers crossed it all goes well. But I'm going to try to check in with you Monday since I'm going to be cramming and reading this weekend and update you and let you know how my weekend went. And then we'll play the rest of the week by ear. But yeah, I have books everywhere because if you've ever paid attention to my vlogs, I literally film the last clip for the last vlog, shut my camera off, and turn it right back on to film the next clip for the start of the next vlog. So I have books everywhere, legitimately everywhere. And so I'm going to go clear them off my bed so I can maybe think about curling up and reading for a little bit before I go to sleep. And I definitely can't sleep with all the books in the bed. So I'm going to go and I will, like I said, check back in with you hopefully Monday to let you know how my weekend went. So it's around 1:30 in the morning on Thursday. I meant to check in Monday, and then I spent all of Monday thinking it was Sunday. And by the time I realized that I had said I was going to check in on Monday, it was Tuesday. And I had like the lights off and was in bed, so I wasn't going to film then. And then Tuesday, I just didn't think about it. And then today, I just didn't have time with wrestling and everything. And so now here I am on Thursday. I have been doing quite a bit of reading. I was wondering if she was going to come over. Hello, Cielo. I was hoping I could get her in the video by her being in the background. But no, she said she wanted to be over here with us. So, okay, you're in the video. Everybody is very excited to see you. You're obviously the star of the show. This should really just be your channel. She truly believes that, you know. Anyways, I've read it quite a bit since, what was it, Saturday kicked off this vlog. So first up, I want to mention I read Dark Waters by Christopher Holt. This is a 5-star prediction. So you won't get my thoughts on this in this video, but I've read it. I've read another 5-star prediction in The Shadow Moth. So 2 of my 5-star predictions, these are the last 2. So once I film that clip and edit my video, I have a 5-star prediction vlog to bring you. So thumbs up for that. Got that out of the way. I read Going Wild, and this is by Lisa McMahon, and I gave this 4.5 stars. This follows a girl named Charlie who has recently moved to Arizona with her parents and her little brother, and she ends up finding this bracelet when she's going through some of their moving boxes, and she puts it on, and suddenly she has these powers. Oh, okay. Could you just... Yeah. She's got her foot stuck in the pocket of my hoodie. Hang on. Oh, okay. So she realizes she's running faster than she should be able to. She has more strength than she should have. And she's healing way easier than she should. And it's really freaked her out. And she's trying to piece together where these powers came from and who she can share this with. Because she's all of a sudden with all of these new people. And her friends are back in Chicago, I believe. And she can't tell them about this. They aren't seeing what's happening. So she's trying to figure out who she can trust and where these abilities came from and what she can do about them. And I loved this. It was missing the one thing I needed for it to be 5 stars, but man, I just picked this up and did not want to put it down, which was the exact opposite reaction I had to the last Lisa McMahon book I had. So maybe I just wasn't into that series. This one has definitely hooked me. I am very curious to see where Charlie goes from here because there's so many twists and turns in this one, and it kind of ends on a bombshell, which has made me want to pick up book 2. I really enjoyed getting to see Charlie deal with this move and her new classmates and trying to fit in while also having these powers. I like the shift in family dynamics that we see her dealing with as well, as her dad has gone back to work, and when they lived in Chicago, he wasn't working, and her mom has obviously got a new job, and that's why they've moved to Arizona. She's, like I said, got this whole new group of friends and is trying to navigate this new existence she's got while also going, wait a minute, I shouldn't be this fast. I shouldn't be this strong. I shouldn't have healed that quickly. So it's just a really intriguing look at like a friend dynamic, a move dynamic, and then these special powers. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm curious to see where things go in book 2. I wish you could see her. She's being ridiculous. Then I finally finished Skating on Mars. I gave this book 4.5 stars. This follows a non-binary preteen named Mars. And Mars is a figure skater. They love figure skating, and they've really thrown themselves into it since their dad died, as it was something they did with their dad, and it is like the one place they feel connected to him and can kind of escape some of the emotions they've been feeling. They are not outside of to their best friend, and they're trying to navigate being non-binary and their gender identity while still struggling with the loss of their dad and nobody knowing. They end up getting challenged by this boy who is the partner to Mars's best friend, because Mars's best friend is also a figure skater and has transitioned to pairs. And to prove that they are just as good a skater, they end up competing as a male. And it makes them really start to question, where do they fit in skating? How do they make figure skating work with their gender identity? And kind of what do they want out of it? And it's this really interesting look at this sport. Just hit me in the face with your tail, it's fine. It's a really interesting look at this sport that is very gendered and has certain stereotypes that come along with costumes and music and the types of moves one can do and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed the figure skating aspect of the story and kind of challenging that and wondering, how does Mars fit into that? I enjoyed getting to see them deal with their gender identity and figuring out how they wanted to handle that and who they wanted to tell and how. Here, if I give you the food... She is looking for food, and there's like a couple of kernels on my desk, because at night I put the bowls on my desk, and I'm going, like, the bowls are right over here instead of over here. Like, what? Anyways, I handed her the bowl, so maybe that'll make her stop slip sliding all over my lap and digging her claws in. Anyways, back to Mars. So I enjoyed getting to see Mars try to figure out their gender identity and who they wanted to tell and when and how and all of that. And it was just a really interesting look at a kid struggling with their gender identity, struggling with the loss of their father, and struggling with the fact that their sport, their passion, their love doesn't necessarily have a clear-cut place for them. It was really enjoyable, and I'm quite glad that I picked it up and gave it a go. And it had some really powerful words at the end, which I'm not going to share with you, but there is a bit at the end, like, this final little bit here, that was just so beautiful and so poignant and so just absolutely brilliant that I really just can't even put into words, as somebody who's non-binary, how much that ending connected with me. Absolutely would recommend this book, and it would have gotten the 5 stars if it hadn't took a little bit for me to get into in the beginning and kind of get into the flow of being in Marge's head. So then I finished off my Wings of Fire series. The first one I read was The Dangerous Gift, which is book 14, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. And then I read the final book, The Flames of Hope, which is book 15, and I gave this 4 stars. So these, like I said, are the last 2 books in the Wings of Fire series, which means I can check off another series to continue, which means the only one I'm not caught up on or finished with is Skullduggery Pleasant. Yay, go me. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that this month like I hoped, but 4 out of 5 in September is not bad. So these are books that follow different clans of dragons, and in each kind of mini arc within the series, there's a prophecy, and we see dragons important to this prophecy kind of leading the events that end up shaping the way this prophecy plays out. The first 5 books followed the Dragonettes of Destiny, and then the second book followed New Dragons with a new prophecy post that, and now we're into these books. The last 5, which followed a third prophecy, which followed the events of kind of the first arc and prophecy and the second arc and prophecy. I enjoyed this less as time went on, and I think it's because I enjoyed the dragons whose heads we were in more in the beginning than towards the end. And I wasn't necessarily the hugest fan of the choices that were made in the way things played out with the struggles the characters had to deal with. It's so hard talking about these because I don't want to give anything away that will spoil like book 2 for you. But I did enjoy the story overall, and I definitely think this is such a fun series. If you like dragons and you like middle grades, I would recommend checking it out because it was absolutely fascinating. And I really enjoyed my read of it, and it's going to be weird not reading a dragon book next month. As far as I know, I don't have a book with dragons in it, but it's going to be really weird not reading a Wings of Fire book next month since I've been doing it all year long. I, overall, really enjoyed the series. I've actually bought the first 2 for one of the little ones in my life who turned 9. I got them for her birthday because dragons were one of the things that she loved. I asked her mom, like, what is she into? Like, when she's reading, when she's watching movies, like, what is she drawn to? And dragons was one of them. So I have started one of my little ones on these, and you guys have no idea how excited I am that my little ones are approaching the age where I can share all of my favorite middle grades with them. I mean, I had already done Amelia Fang for both her and the other 9-year-old I have, because my nephew and my mom's friend had my first 2 little ones on the same day. They have the same exact birthday. So they both ended up getting Amelia Fang for me because they were around the right age. And then this year I got to do that. And like I said, this one was into dragons. And then the other one liked spooky books. So I ended up getting them Malamander and what's the second one? It's not Shadowgast. That's the third one. Oh, that's going to annoy me. I got the first 2 books in the Irion Sea series anyways, because I thought they were spooky. Because they had monsters and some of the drawings could be really spooky. And again, she's only 9. So, like, I didn't want to go too far into my middle grade horror section with, like, something like Catherine Arden, because I did not think that her parents would be thrilled if I gave her something that really scared her. So I kind of went with something that had, like, spooky vibes, but also had, like, an adventure to it with Malamander. So it's been really fun being able to share my middle grade series with my little ones. And we have a few more coming up behind them. So we're getting there. It's quite exciting. I'm holding off on some of the middle grade contemporaries because I want them to be a little bit older. That way, I am not the one introducing these concepts to them. Although, to be fair, I don't know whether my nephew has talked to his kids about the fact that I'm non-binary, because I hadn't figured that out, and they might have been old enough at the time that my nephew might have wanted to wait until the oldest was a little bit older to explain, so that they grasped the concept. I don't know. I haven't talked to them about it, and because of COVID, I don't really get to see them. But I know my best friend, well, one of my best friends, she's like a little sister to me. I know her kids absolutely know, because they call me Chris. So, I know they're aware, but it's also, from what I found with middle grade contemporaries that feature that kind of hard-hitting stuff, that it can be really hard to digest. So I think I want them to be a little bit older before I start passing those on, just because I want to make sure that they're old enough to really take it in and be able to feel comfortable enough to ask questions or whatever. I also want to get them books that I know they're going to read, so I'm waiting to see what their reading tastes are too, because it's no good to give them a book that they're not going to enjoy reading, even if I think the message is really important. So yeah, anyways, back to everything I've read, because I'm not done yet. The last book I have finished is Best Served Cold. Yes, that's right. I read this chunky book. In addition to all of those books I already mentioned, I ended up giving this 3.75 stars. This is the first standalone in the kind of First Law universe. You have the First Law trilogy, and then this book follows that book in the order, at least based on the way the book club that Becca is doing for this. I know there's a name for it, and I'm just drawing a blank. Anyways, there has been a read-along for this, and this was the next book up. I'm a little bit behind, I believe, but I did finally read this. Like I said, it follows the events of the First Law trilogy, and in that one we have a bunch of different POVs, and you've got these nations that are on the verge of war, and you're seeing various POVs throughout the kind of world. You have a kind of swordsman, I believe. You have a officer. There was a torturer. I feel like I read those books like last year, even though I know it's only been a few months, because this book does not follow those characters. So it's a little different. Oh, there was an outlaw and like a mage, I think, were the main players. Man, it really does feel like I read that book like in 2022. Anyways, this follows a whole different set of characters, but it is set in the same world, so it's familiar. The tone is familiar, and we're following... I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we've heard our main character's name in the other book. So what I'm going to say is it's springtime in Styria, and that means war. Springtime in Styria, and that means revenge. Our main character is looking for revenge, and boy, do they go out and try to get it, which creates a lot of battles and blood and death and fighting, and basically that is the theme of the book. It's a lot of fighting, a lot of battles, a lot of blood. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I just didn't feel the connection that I felt with the first group of characters, even though the world was familiar, hence why I got 3.75 and not 4. But I did enjoy it, and I'm curious to see where the next book in this series goes, or universe, however you want to call it, because I'm still enjoying the world and seeing different sections of it and getting to see how things are playing out. Then I've started 2 other books, or made progress in 2 other books. Well, started and made progress. So the first is Traps and Specters, which is book 4 in the Secret Zoo series, and I'm on page 153. This follows 4 kids, Noah, Megan, Ella, and Richie, who in the first book, I think it's Megan, goes missing, and the other 3 end up finding her in this secret zoo behind the zoo, like inside the zoo. And they have continued to be a part of the secret zoo and are dealing with this villain who is very dangerous to the secret zoo. So they've been training throughout these books to kind of counteract him. And we're seeing their training and their adventures and some of the obstacles that are being thrown in their way. And like I said, this is before. It is a series I enjoy, but it's in the 3-star range, so it's not like a new favorite, but I am enjoying my read of it, and I do want to know how it's going to play out and how the series is going to wrap up, so I'm hoping to get to book 4 after this. That would be a plan for tonight, is to finish book 3 and then start book 4, but we'll see. And then can you see Porky's tail? Pork, your tail is in the video. Yeah. And then the last book I've made progress in is The Autumn Republic, another chunker. So I am on page 70. And this is the 3rd book in the Powder Mage trilogy, which follows Tamis, who is a general who in the 1st book stages a coup and takes over for the king. His son Taniel, who is a member of his army or military unit. And Adamat, who is being blackmailed by Tamis to kind of help him out. Those are the 3 main POVs. And Adamat is, according to this, an inspector. And he kind of goes around ferreting out secrets and seeing what he can get out of people, which is why Tamis blackmails him into doing his bidding. There's a lot of, again, war, considering you've got a nation that has just had a coup, and there are other nations who aren't happy with that and trying to take advantage. There's members called Privilege who have the ability to do magic, who also factor into the books. Taniel and Tamis are powder mages, which means they have the ability to manipulate guns and powder, like gunpowder. And ingesting gunpowder can also give them extra abilities. I believe. It's been a while since I read the 1st book. And again, I've read a lot of adult fantasy this year that sometimes they bleed into one another. I know that I was looking at this last night knowing I needed to read it while trying to finish up Blood Served Cold. And because it had been so long, I was trying to remember who the characters were in the First Law. And I kept wanting to think of these guys. And I was like, no, that's the wrong book. Because I've read this. I've read Ruin. So, The Faithful and the Fallen. I've read some of The Realm of the Elderling this year. I've read, I think I finished The Grace of Kings, The Dandelion Dynasty. That's the name of the series. I've read a lot of adult fantasy, so sometimes I start to get them mixed up. But I believe that's how it works. Anyways, I'm enjoying being back with these characters, and this is the 3rd book in a trilogy, so I will get to find out how this story ends. So very excited about that. And I want to say that is all I've read, but that was a lot. So I'm pretty happy with my reading so far this week, and we're going to see what else I can squeak out, because if I don't want a punishment, I have to read more than I would like to have to read to avoid a punishment. So I'm going to go do that. Because, again, I don't want to have to pull a punishment. And I think, yeah, I have to finish, let's see. Off the top of my head, I have to finish The Song Rising. I have to read the entirety of The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. And then, because I was thinking bigger than my britches, I said I had to finish all of my Pickpongathon TBR prompts too, and well, this is on my Pickpongathon TBR, so I need to finish at least those 3, if not something else. But yeah, she's back, so I'm gonna go, because she is not helpful, and I will check back in with you at the end of the month to let you know how I did. September is over, and that means so is Battle of the Readathon, which means I need to do one final check-in to let you know what books I finished. What are you doing, Porky? He's looking for the food because the food is over here, and he was going to go around the back of the camera, and I was worried he was going to bump that. Now he's back there. Do you see him? Anyways, I knew that the last 2 days were not going to go well because I knew I was going to be distracted because NSYNC released its... And there's Cielo. Yeah. She's like, hi, did you miss me? Look at his face. So... NSYNC released their first song in over 20 years, and I spent most of Friday listening to it. It is also the anniversary of my mom's best friend's death. She died when I was 15, and she was like a second mom to me. And I knew that was also going to distract me because I was going to go bring her flowers. And funny enough, the B-roll that plays before this clip is actually from my visit to see my mom, because there is a pond at the cemetery where she's buried, and I always go check the pond because I love animals of pretty much any kind. And I got to the cemetery. I put her mom on her grave. I'll actually pop a picture up here. I bought her yellow mums. It's always a yellow flower of some sort. And then I got back in the car, and I turned the station on the radio, and there was the new NSYNC song. The very first time I heard it on the radio. And then we went around the little bend, and there were the ducks, and they were right by the road. And to me, that was her way of saying, this is a happy day. You're supposed to be happy today, and I don't want you missing me to ruin that happy feeling that you've had. Because I was literally sobbing happy tears at midnight when I heard their song. So I am taking it as I'm right here with you, enjoying the day. Enjoy the NSYNC, enjoy the ducks, and know that I'm always here. I absolutely believe in signs like that, and to me, there is not much of a way that she could have been clearer that she was there and didn't want me to dwell on missing her and wanted me to enjoy this amazing gift NSYNC had given me on that day. So, that was pretty special in my opinion, and it definitely meant I did not get much reading done on Friday because I was very much in NSYNC mode. And then today, Saturday, was just a complete mess, so I didn't really get tons of reading done today either. So I will update you on what I did read, though. I finished Traps and Spectres. I'm giving this 3.5 stars. I think that's going to be about what I give any book in this series. I'm enjoying this series. It's, like I said, it's not a new favorite, and I think that the young ones in my life will enjoy it more than I would. And I think it's a book that I would have jived with a lot more when I was a middle grader. It's a decent series, and I'm excited to finish it and see how the story ends. Speaking of that, I have started Raids and Rescues. I'm on page 152, so about halfway through this. This is book 5, which means I have the other half of this book, and then book 6, and I will have completed that series, and that is my goal in October. Again, I'm feeling 3.5 stars on this one as well. And then the other update I have is that I've read some more of the Autumn Republic. I am now on page 290, so about halfway through this one as well. I'm enjoying this. This one definitely feels more like a 4 or 4.25 star. I'm excited to be finishing this series up and getting to see how everybody's story ends, because I have no idea where this is going. There's been some craziness in this one, and they're fighting over who gets to eat the food right now. That was them. They knocked something off of my desk. No, we don't sharpen our claws on the action figure box, monkey. Was my deodorant. They knocked my deodorant off my desk. That was nice. Okay, she really does think you all come here just to see her. anyways, I'm enjoying this. Like I said, some wacky things are happening right now. And I'm curious to see where this is going, because I have absolutely no clue as she tries to hit me in the face with her tail. So really enjoying this, really curious to see how it wraps up. But yeah, that's all of the reading I've done in the last 3 days. It's not as much as I did prior to that, but I knew that NSYNC was going to affect my reading and bring my number down. So I'm not exactly surprised. All in all, I had a fantastic September. I think I finished like 39 books, so I'm very, very happy with that. And no complaints. And now it's on to spooky season, which I'm also very, very excited for. And if you look, I have lots of opportunities to read, because look at that mess. I'm waiting for that video to upload. I started uploading it almost 24 hours ago, and I've been sitting on 98% uploaded for like an hour. I was hoping to get it out today, but that did not happen. So, oh well. It'll go out tomorrow, hopefully. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to wrap this vlog up here. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me duck emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!